So these are all nice and dry. They've just been in the dryer for possibly not even 20 minutes really. Nice and dry. The clay is a little bit soft still, so just be very wary. We're going to color 2 together. I've started doing the other 2. So all that I did with these 2 was I did a bit of gold on the edging of these 2. So just to give you some ideas, which I'll paint up as well. Just gold on the actual piece there. I think for these 2, I'm going to do a bit of bronze, gold, and green. Or both green, I'm not too sure. So we're going to start with green first. So let me grab the green. What you need is your pigment powder. You need some varnish, which is the Powertex varnish. And you need 2 brushes. One a little bit bigger than the other, and one is to mix with. So let's put a bit of varnish on our piece. I'll probably just do both green, just so that I don't waste the green, because now I've just put too much. I always like to put a touch of white. It just helps with the coloring of the piece. So a touch of white. It will make it a bit lighter, but then you just add more green to it. So this is just for the background. Don't worry if you touch any of the pieces on the actual flowers. Sorry, I keep knocking the camera there. Let's give it a good mix. So you can see it's quite light. I'm going to make it a little bit greener. It's entirely up to you. So if you like it that light, you can keep it. And obviously the more powder I add, the more varnish I'm going to need to add, because it's going to get thicker. So let's just mix it all in. That's okay. I can work with this. And then always have a container of water nearby for your brushes, because it does harden your brushes. And we're just going to go in and straight in. So normally I'd lean this on the counter, but I know that the molded pieces are not completely dry yet. I'm just going to paint all the black bits. Try not to get it on too much of the glass. If you do get on the glass, you can always just wipe it off with a baby wipe. Just getting all of that painted, even the leaves painted, because I'll go over that with some highlights just now. So get that painted. That one's a little bit still damp-ish, so I'm just going to dab him down. He can carry on drying. So I'm just going to go around these edges here, just so I get the tips of that piece. All right, so I'm happy so far with all of that. I'm going to do it on the same one for the other one. I'm just going to move the camera a bit back so I stop knocking it all the time. Bear with. There you go. All right, so this one also might be a bit loose. So let it dry overnight before you give it to anybody or gift it to anybody. I try to rush dry this, so forgive me. It is quite hard already. It's just the certain, I think this part where I overlapped, it's still a little bit wettish underneath. So it's being a bit temperamental. All right. So that's the background of that strip. Again, just getting all the way around. What I'm going to do with the remainder of the green, I'm just going to quickly, so I don't waste it, paint the leaves on this part here. So these little leaves, I'm just going to quickly paint green. This is entirely up to you. I like to put a base color underneath first, so be the base color of the strip first. When I teach, I always say add metallics last, but because I'm using the strip, or the main color is the gold, I would rather get that done first. So all those pieces, get all these leaves nice and painted. I'm going to highlight it with a bit of ginger green afterwards. Make sure all these leaves are painted as well, so just going over with them again because they were part of the strip. Just make sure I get a good coverage on them. I don't want to waste my green that I've just made. And this one as well. So is that everybody? Yep, that's done. Okay, so I'm going to focus on doing this green here. So give it 2 seconds just to dry off. But again, mixing your next color. So for this one, I'm going to, having a think, I'm going to make these ones burgundy. I quite like the burgundy. So the burgundy Power Tex. And I'll do one with you, and you can carry on doing all the rest on your own. You just need me to show you one, and then I'll show you how to highlight it as well. So let's give it a bit of varnish. Hopefully not too much. I could always just use it on another piece if I want. So dipping it in the powder. So usually I use a scoop, but in this case I'm mixing such a little bit, I'm just going to dip my brush. So you want a nice, I always use deep colors. Want nice deep colors, don't want them too transparent. Okay, I'm going to use the same brush because it's very small, and I'm just going to paint the burgundy flower as best I can. Double check that everything is dry around, but remember I use the green as the base, so I'm not really worried about it mixing in here because I'm going to highlight it as well. And then let's do the other flower as well. I know daisies are normally white, but I'm just using it as a colorful piece. Let's do that one. I'm going to do it on this one with the shrooms as well. No. Yes, because I want to show you the different highlights. Okay, let's do this one, burgundy as well. I just don't want to waste the burgundy, and I want to show you highlighting of the gold one and of the green one. You can use a much finer brush than me. I'm a very messy painter. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Those are the little mushrooms on the other side, which I'll do, possibly actually should just do in the same color, seeing as I've got the burgundy. Normally I do it red, but we'll just make them burgundy just so they blend in with the flower at the back, I think. It'll look nice. So I'm not too worried about going over the edges here because I'm going to paint the stems a different color. So with that being said, make sure these burgundy ones are done. The leaves on these flowers, I'm going to make them a little bit with a bit of ginger green, but I just want to dry brush them. So I want to find a brush that's not too thick, nice and flat-ish. Get the ginger green. I'm going to mix it with the same brush. You can always mix it in with the green when you're doing it, but I like to give it an extra coloring to it. So a little bit of varnish. This bottle is really tight. Okay, so dip it in the varnish, dip it in the powder. Just be careful you don't get clumps. You don't want to leave wet powder inside your container. This is just to give it a bit of highlights on the leaves, so I'm not too worried about mixing too much. So, because I don't want to go in too harsh, I'm just going to dry it off on the puppy pea pad. And we'll start with the ones that are sitting to one side drying. That's these ones first. So all the leaves, I just want to add the tops. You can see a little bit of the green still wet. So just give it like 5 seconds to... But I just want to enhance and highlight the leaves anyway, so I'm not too worried about green on green. So that's those leaves. Let's get a little bit more. So I'm just lightly dragging across the leaves. Again, it's entirely up to you how much you want to put on. This might still be wet. Doesn't matter. There you go. All right. And then last one. This side. kind of taken away the green there. But at least it's still got that undercoat of green underneath it. All right, I'm happy with that. So brush in there. You can wash your brushes each time. As I'm demoing, I'm just putting them in the water. It's much easier. Okay, so for the stems on the mushrooms, I want to add a bit of mocha. And then I'm going to wait for the mushrooms to dry a bit before I do the dots. So on screen preferably. Teeny tiny bit again. Okay. I think that's the only one that I've got mushrooms on. So just the stems, a little bit of mocha. You can always add dark brown if you think this is a little bit, sometimes I think it's too orange. I do add a little bit of dark brown sometimes. Let's just reach out and grab that, just to tone it down a little bit. Alrighty, so this is all the intricate painting you can do after you've done the actual strip. So just imagine if you didn't do the strip first, you would have to go around all these intricate bits in between everything you've just painted. And for me, it would be an absolute nightmare. I would paint everything the same color and have to redo everything. So I prefer to do the strip first and then come back and do all the intricate pieces after. So I'm just making sure. I don't know, I might make that bunny grey or brown. I'm not quite sure. Don't know, or white even. Maybe a little brown bunny. So let's just use a bit of dry brushing on there. So wet it in the brown, just because I don't want to waste it. Dry brush it as much as I can off on the puppy pea pad. I just want to lightly go over the edge of him. So he's going to have a bit of black in the background of him. A little bit of shadowing, or he might not. Might change my mind completely and just make him all brown. Yeah, I went all brown. He's so cute. All right. So that little bunny's done. I'm quite happy with him. I still need to do the flowers on that one. This little bunny, I'm probably going to do white. Let's see if I put a bit of brown. And then I can always go over with white if I want to lighten him a bit. So it's just my really, really dry brush. There you go. All right. So let's check on these burgundy flowers. Make sure that's a little bit tacky. Don't want them to be too wet when I want to put the gold on. So this one has gold on the background already. So all we're going to do once this is dry, we're going to do the little dots on the mushrooms. So you can see it's still a bit wet. Let's do the white for that for now. Mix little dots first. So how I do dots is obviously have a clean space on my foil. You can always turn your foil upside down. Oops. I think I'll use that white on the bunny now. Okay, so let's get a good white in there. So I know the varnish is white and I'm adding white powder, but you want to have a good deep coloring in it. You don't want it too thick for the little dots on the mushrooms. All right, squeezing it off, wiping it off, because when I do dots, I use the back of the paintbrush. So dip it in the liquid and then just lightly just dip it on the dots. So dipping it in on the dot. I tend to not do more than one dot per dip, only because I feel that my white runs out a bit. So there I've just done two. You can, I mean, you can dip, and I can't concentrate and talk. Dip and talk. So that's all of them. Can even add one there, one there. That's quite cute. All right, let's see that one. I've got no mushrooms there, no mushrooms there. Awesome. So next up is the gold. So I'm just going to fold this in half. I quite like the gold on the tops of these to highlight it. So I'm going to get a flat-ish brush. Flattish brush, a little bit of gold. Where is my varnish? A little bit of gold. And I'll do that for all of them, all the pieces, once I painted all the flowers. So dipping it in the gold, give it a good old mix. Okay, like so. And then what we're going to do is lightly wisp across. I'm just drying my brush. It feels like I'm wasting it, but just lightly touching the tops of the flower. So go from outward inward. Just be gentle because some of it could still be quite wet. I'm not worried about that. Maybe the edges of the leaves a little bit just to tie it all up. You've got to know when to stop because you don't want to overdo it and then change the whole leaf into completely gold. So that's that one done. Let's do this one as well. Again, on and off, so very lightly. I'm running my brush so lightly across it, it's like light as a feather. Please don't put a lot of pressure on. The more pressure you put, the more color comes out. So just the tips of those leaves. There you go. All right, edges again. If it is a bit wet, you'll see some of the burgundy will come off. Give it a little bit of a longer wait than me. Okay, and that's pretty much done. The only thing I'd like to do is maybe just the tips of all these pieces of the hessian, just bring it out a little bit. Some of the varnish on the top of my brush. It's just going to dry clear. So just on the tops and the bottoms. Just to tie it all up. Don't want to make it completely gold, but I just want to bring it all together. And then that one I've just let completely gold. So out of all of them that I've done, these two I showed you how to color. Look how beautiful that is. So from a simple recycled Starbucks bottle, we now have a beautiful vase that you can put water in and give to someone with flowers. Hope you enjoyed the videos. Hope to see all your creations soon, and I hope you can join me again. Bye.